righty, welcome aboard, and we're going to be talking about fitting I had with a gentleman from New Jersey, some Fujikura shafts, and well, just about anything inside the golf realm. Next on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why is it What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers, club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and we're no different. Huh? What's really fuzzy? You're really fuzzy. My picture is fine. Is yours isn't? So anyway, it's all about what's in my drawers in the golf shop, not here. Maybe you need to take that other stuff off of there. How about that? Look, I'm really clear all of a sudden. Technology. Anyway, so what's this? What's this?
Get moving.
Golly. I'm going to get my shirt on. All right. So Mrs. McGolf was having technical difficulties, and we were resolving them at the beginning. So to start this over again, we're going to say what's in the drawers because old club makers, club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and it's about what's in the club shop is what's in the drawers. This is where we talk about golf club repairs, golf club reviews, golf club fittings, and just about anything in between. So let's get started. Short week as far as putting stuff together, because this week is going to be absolutely long. We are going to be absolutely swamped with some stuff, so it's going to be a good week. So here's what we put together this week, and as you can tell, we have ourselves looks to be either a Wilson or a Srixon. A Srixon, there we go. A Srixon hybrid and some Mizuno irons with some Modus shafts in them that we made for a local golfer, and he's in his mid 60s, but he's still a very, very good golfer, and he was actually swinging very, very close to the stiff range. And so what we did, instead of giving him our flexes, since these shafts tend to play just a hair towards the weak end of it, or the weak side, what we did is we put in we soft stepped a set in order to give him something a little bit softer that he can still use for quite some time. And then the shaft that was in the hybrid, which you see down here at the bottom of the screen, was a regular shaft because the RDX shafts are very, very stiff. And so if you're very, very close to, like at the bottom of the stiff range, like where I'm at about 90 mile an hour with a in the upper end 90, 98, 97, that kind of thing with a driver, that you might go in that particular shaft, you might want to consider a regular, because the other one is just really hard to get that snap that you want to get through on it. All righty. Another one is we had a really cool full fitting on Saturday with Nick. He lives in New Jersey off of exit 154, and there he is. And he and his wife came to visit, and we put him through his paces. And as you can tell, Nick's a little shorter fella, but he's got game. He's got a lot of game, as a matter of fact. And we set him up with his putter, got it bent, and all we really needed to do was, because he's quick in his tempo, we just put a little bit of weight in the back end of the putter. Good to go. In the irons, we switched him up a little bit from what he was used to, and we ended up with a really nice set that got him more towards the middle. He ended up playing a like a push or a fade, and that happens. That's actually fairly common with folks that use clubs that are too long, because they're trying to swing around the body as opposed to swinging on plane. And guys that have been golfing a long time, or have got the athletic ability, the gift, that they're making way in order to make that happen. Well, normally what happens is when when you get around and you're coming around like that, either it's a very outside in and you're getting the face angle married up, it feels like a pull or even a pull hook, right? And then your miss is this ginormous block. And those are a huge indication that you're coming in kind of flat, or maybe your line goes a little bit off, but your swing plane is just way flat out there, and the length is off. And it's not that your swing plane is bad, is that you're just making room for a club that just doesn't fit. And so that's what we did, is we got him a little shorter, and he actually was choking down to the right spot. We just had to get him to the right spot. Gave him a little bit of upright lie. Next thing you know, he's finding more of the middle. And it was it was really cool. We went back and forth on different heads, this way, that way, this way, that way, this way, that way, and he always kept gravitating back towards the single iron and pumping it down the middle. The rest of them were hit others maybe just a little bit better as far as distance, but it was this dispersion that was way wide, and for it was like 2-3 yards shorter, but in a pattern like that. And I don't know any golfer that's going to give that up. And we also had him out to a distance that I think he would enjoy. I think we had him 6-iron. We had him out to 185, almost 190, and he cranked a couple out to, they ended out at 200, which is a distance I don't think he's ever seen. So that worked out really well. And then in the driver, we ended up with a Paradigm Triple D, a triple diamond, and for a guy that typically fades the ball, this is a tricky club because it is an open bias to begin with, and it's for guys who are overcooking it and that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, here we go. And I put him in the Kylie in a 70X. He did pretty good. He got out there, didn't overcook it, and but I put him in the hazardous black. Again, keep in mind this gentleman, he pretty strong pull, right? Pretty strong pull, and he hit this hazardous black, and all of a sudden it just smoothed right out. He ended up basically same exact setup, same exact place to grip, everything there except for the shaft, and literally gave him 8 more yards. So just to keep that idea going, is the shaft is not the engine, it is the transmission. And so what he was able to do was shift into a higher gear and get that club going, and his smash factor went way up. And when that went way up, he was able to throw it out there. And so Nick and his wife were a fun bunch to talk to. They were very, very good set of folks, and we were able to talk vinyl. And next time she shows up, I promise I'll give you a blanket. All right, because we froze her out. We froze her out. All righty, so there was that one. On the next one, Peter, that's normally on here quite a bit, and we'll probably see, is getting a set of those. In fact, this is going to be his head. And Peter, I got real lazy this weekend, so I have to apologize. But we now do have all your stuff, and we are going to go with the Axiom shaft. Okay, Fujikuri Axiom. This is going to be the 75R, and this is the first iron shaft that has the velo core in it. All right, the first velo core, and that's the back side, obviously the top side, and we're going to put them in his clubs. Now, what's different about this particular shaft that makes it so awesome? Well, we have yet to see. I've built another set of this. You guys have saw me with this. The Axiom is a different animal in the way of building a golf shaft, in that there are 3 distinct different kinds of shafts. There's a shaft for the high end, a shaft for the middle, and a shaft for the lower end. All right, and it depends on where you start, right? I think this one stops at the high shaft stops at the 6-iron, and the middle shaft is 7, 8, 9. Or it starts at the 6, 7. Yeah, it stops at the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and down is the short clubs, which are these. And amazingly enough, you can't tell the difference. all right? And you shouldn't be able to, except for the little label right here. Now, a couple things are going on with this. In traditional shaft trimming, is that at the 3 you might not trim any, at a 4 a little bit, 5 a little bit, 6 a little bit, 7 a little bit, down to a wedge. All right. These don't do that. These do not do that. And the shaft trimming, which I have right here next to me, is that at the top end, they start at 0, a half, 1. Next one, 0, a half, 1. Next one, 0, half, 1. That's it, because it doesn't have a whole lot of tip section. If you look really closely, and you'd have it on the TV, I don't know you're going to see it very much, but this thing starts getting bigger right about here. And so if you're going to have about 1.5 inch insertion depth, you need to have at least this much sticking out. So they're giving you enough so that you don't eat up all the tip, which is good. Now, Fuji's been known for making righteous driver shafts. I mean, they just have, right? The Ventus has been a massively popular shaft this year, and what the difference is this. The Velo Core has been in some, and in the aftermarket you can get it with that where it doesn't have that. So what is Velo Core? And without getting too technical, Velo Core is the what they'll call as a technology that you use in the way that you would weave the tip of the weave this section of the club, and it's ordered to give it a certain stiffness, a certain torque, a certain whatever the specifications are that Fuji wants to put in to this club. Okay, so the ones without Velo Core don't have the, I would imagine it's a special graphite in the special weave, so it probably is going to play a little softer, and that's not so bad for some folks. Now the Axiom it comes in various weights. There's a 75. I know I put in a 105, and I believe there's a 125. 125 is going to be kind of brutal. So if you're a guy that pulls down, that quick release kind of stuff and fairly strong, this very well may be a shaft that you would want. And the fact that graphite also comes with the distinct advantage of being a massive shock absorber, it could be a pretty good thing, right? So if you're a guy with a quick tempo, likes a heavier shaft, and maybe, I'm just throwing it out there, maybe you got some arthritis showing up, or you got joint pain, or the tennis elbow, or whatever, that this might be very well the thing that you're looking for. Just so you know. All right. We're going to give a big nod to Lucas Glover. How long has it been since we've had a golfer that's won back-to-back events? I imagine that's been quite some time. And Lucas Glover's on fire right now, guys and gals. He's doing very, very well. And a guy that's not viewed, he's never been viewed as like an awesome putter, and that's what saved him. So good for him, good for the lab golf, right? It's a lab putter and it's a broomstick model, and he's getting away with it. So hey, let him play. Hopefully he can carry that momentum on to the next one. So congrats to him. All righty, let's get to the top and start talking. All righty, Matt Revlock. Shot 73, my only round. New putter grip helped me a lot of short putts. There you go. Matt did come down to visit, and you guys missed it. It would have been a really cool live stream, I guarantee it. And we went through and made sure all his clubs are online, lofts and lies, and then changed out some grips, and he changed out a putter grip because it was impacting his ability to control short putts. So we put a good one in there, and it looks like it showed up. And the 7-wood is back in the bag. A good deal. So one of the clubs the loft was jacked up on it, and it was a Washon club. So for those of us who still have the older equipment, we can put that in there and we can bend the lofts in the directions that we want. And that's what happened, right? And so it was so we got him in, so he has now gaps in his hybrids, and so that'll be cool. And I hear mommy approved the project, so uh, when and during the winter we are going to have a teacher moment with a teacher. So it's going to be it's going to be a fun series. All righty. Manuel, what do you say, buddy? Took out my 5 and put a 7. Would love it. Shot a 36 on the front and a 48 on the back. Woo! That's what you call a change around, but good for you. Hello, Rob, Jim, and the rest of McGearheads. I like that one. That's a good one. A good customer gave me an Acura 130 torque shaft. Put in my Newport. Thought it would be a game changer. Not really. Really. That's too bad. I would have thought that would have really put it in there for you. Made it too heavy, maybe? Matt says thank you. Jim Anderson, thank you for staying up late at 5 Scotland. And hope you're both well. Thank yous. You too. Graphite Adventures continuing. Liking the UST Smack Rap. Very nice. Us older guys need to look at after the potty. You're very true, sir. You know you have mentioned it before, but do you use 3M DP420 black or 810? Also the best way to fix feral creep on a Callaway driver without heating or disturbing the adapter. Well, Dan, I use both. For most of my builds that I'm going to go say over 6 clubs or do an entire set, I use the 420 black. Now the 420 black was specifically designed by 3M for golf clubs. Okay, for golf clubs, and it was for the torque from impact, and that's what it was for. Now, prior to 420 being made, 810 was the go-to stuff, and on tour it still is. All right, the 810 is still go-to, and that's because of its quick working time. So in a lot of cases, if you ever watch, when you're in when you can see a video on a tour van, that kind of thing, that they're only building one club. They're only building one club, and they only put a little bit of dab in there, and put their little tungsten on there and swirl it around, because they know they're only going to get 1-2 clubs tops out of it, and so that's what you see. Now, when they get ready to do more, they'll lay it out like they'll have all these ready to go. They'll have all the ferrules ready to go, all the shafts ready to go, and maybe, just maybe, get 4 done. So then you got to turn around and mix it up again. But that's the way that they're used to doing it, and they like it that way, so they're going to keep doing it. Now, I will say I just bought a new shipment of both, and if you're out there looking for it, the 810 is cheaper by about $12 a tube. All right, $12 a tube. This stuff is not cheap. The 410 or the 420 is upping near $50 a tube, where the other one's near 36. So we're getting close, right? So you got to be careful with that. All right, fix feral creep on a Callaway driver. So probably some of the best way, if it's truly the feral creeping, with using the glue like that's a super glue, and you just need one little dot, one little dab. But what I like doing is, and if you've got one, I've got a speed clamp that I can use it with. But if you had a regular, just a clamp that those little rubber clamps are about, I don't know, 3 inches wide, and they stand in a regular vise. And anyway, you got to get into like this, something that's going to hold on to the shaft, but not so intent that it won't move. And what you do is, so it's clamping like this way, and the shaft's into it. So let's see if this works. So if my hand is the clamp and your ferrule is here, right? What you want to be able to do is be able to push it in there, and you push the head against the ferrule, because this thing is holding on to it like this, and it'll catch the ferrule, and you'll be able to push against it. Now, in order to make it move a little bit better, I mean, it doesn't need a lot of heat. Hitting it with a hair dryer, a quick amount of heat from a heat gun, and I mean just 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Put it in the vise, push it with that little dab will do you kind of thing, and you're good to go. And that's the easiest way. Charlie, how are you, sir? So here's a new one. This is, have you ever heard of this one? Frey Ranch. It's a bourbon made by farmers. That's the only reason why I got it. So this is the very first one. I don't even know what this is supposed to taste like. They said it's smooth. Have no clue. So we'll find out. Ooh, it's going to be hot. Yep, it's hot. That's a what you call a mixing whiskey. Woo! You have to get through that one. All right. There he is. Thank you for showing up. All right. For my Tacoma has a new prototype driver out there and want golfers to try and give feedback. Well, that would be cool. I hope they make it left-handed, which I doubt it, but that would be very neat to see. They have to go there and see what they got. Charlie says that one. John Cherry from Myrtle Beach. Kick points on shafts. Is there a particular kick point that is more advantageous for someone who has a slow swing speed? I always look forward to these. Thanks. Well, John, in the world of kick points, the short answer to what you're asking is no. Because in the world of graphite manufacturing, and they tend to go in concert with one another, and I tell you what I mean. So as you know, as we all know, as the kick point of the shaft goes up, that tends to make the ball flight go down. All right. Now, as the kick point goes up, chances are that it's going to be a much, much more stiffer shaft. Why is that? Because guys with higher swing speeds are the ones that are always worrying about getting the ball too high. If they get the ball too high, it coasts in the air and it loses its speed and it drops out of the air like a duck. So as the swing speed lowers, you want to get that kicking down here in order for the ball flight to get up. Now, as I'm moving this thing around going high and low, that's kind of a fallacy as well. Kick points probably only move about 1.5 inches in the total length in a period of models, right? From if you had one shaft, let's just use Ventus as an example, since we're using Fuji. So the kick point on this thing through all its models may only move 1 inch to 1.5 inches, maybe. I'm not a Fuji expert. I'm just throwing that out as a kind of what other shaft designers have told me in the past. And but that movement is enough to get that change in feel, right? And so that's how that works. And it kind of goes with balance point. Both of those, the balance point is kind of gives you an idea of whether or not it's going to feel light or if it's going to feel heavy when you put the club together. All right. Off topic of feral creep, pardon me, not a single club has ever had feral creep. Oh, that's all right, Bubby. Well, that's the reason why I put a little glue under it to prevent that. He is the man. Charlie, I appreciate that, bud. And there's Matt saying we changed his game. Matt, I think you could get a brick and a stick around. We're going to find out, aren't we? And still get it around. Scotty, will Dynapower irons come out in a forged version? Nobody's told me so. If history shows, the D9 forged is due for a change. The Dynapower and all that stuff came out this year. The forged and quite possibly the CB is what we'll see a facelift on them. Will it come with a Dynapower logo on it? I don't know. Because the other one the other one was a D9 and there was a D9 forged. And it was, and 7 was before that and so on. So if it follows suit, yeah, there's a real opportunity for it to be Dynapower forged. I guess it would be what it would be. Who knows? Because they've had a change of leadership there, And so their names might be a little different. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. No, no. Yeah, Matt does, not me. All righty. Alan O'Carrion. All right. Big Al, what do you say, buddy? That long time no see or no hear or no whatever. Thanks for showing up. Brian Pettit, he rocked the Mez to victory. It saved his butt. You are not kidding. Uh, when his iron striking didn't get him as close as he wanted to, and he needed some par saves, that thing really, really, really came through. So good for him. I'm glad that, and he's notoriously had issues with putting. I'm glad that he found something that'll work for him. And it's also a good thing for Lab, right? Lab is not they're not a powerhouse putter company, but they're onto something. I mean, there's theirs right there. And there's something to be said about it. And it is a different look. So you never know. They might be starting a trend. They'll be like, can you see it 10, 15 years from now? They go, instead of like, oh, that looks like an old Anzer putter, man, they go like, oh, that looks like the original Mez. You never know. All righty. Have you had a chance to hit the Paradigm 3 fairway? What was your impression? Peter, I have not. I'm not a fairway guy, so I've not even picked one out. The funny part was, though, I had one in my hand and ordered, and it was a 5 wood, and I was just showing a person what some of the very, very basics of a golf swing, and I swung and I hit it and I smoked it. I was like, well, there's one in a million shot, but it felt good. From what I'm hearing, this Paradigm fairway wood is a real deal. And that's just not me saying it, because I've literally only have the demos and maybe one or two fairways, because we just don't go through them here. But when we go out there, everybody's been happy so far. That's what it is. So I got you, Peter. I got yours. Yours right here, man. And there's the shafts as I've been showing them up here and down. I've been questioning myself on whether or not I want to, because those are 370 tips, and that is a 355 head. Now, I've talked to Fuji, and I've also seen it on their website that if you look, there's a bit of some meat on this one. I don't know if I'm going to do it on this one now that I've looked. On the other ones, the end of this shaft is filled with more graphite. This one, for weight, probably is not going to do that. They say you can mold the end of the tip in order for it to fit in there. I was going to do part of the video on leaving one and that I can mold to put it in there in order to do it after trimming or not trimming, as the case may be. And figuratively, it really doesn't change anything. It's just about getting it to fit. But now that I've seen this the way it is, I don't think I'm gonna ream the heads, and we're gonna put them in there, and we'll just talk about doing that. So that's where we're gonna go, and we're gonna see whether or not they were doing it. So the other part is, Peter, I know I've asked you this on there once before, and you've answered me, but are you good with where the logo's at, or do you want logo down? Because when you go logo down, you're going to see this on logo up, or logo down. This is what's going to show. It's kind of cool. Just let me know what you think, and we'll get them going. All righty. Manuel's talking. There's Danny. How are you, sir? Mark Nat. We said, where do you buy your felt belts for ferrule turning? Thanks. I buy them from GolfWorks. They are when it comes to parts and accessories for just about anything tool oriented, save and the funny part is their shaft cutoff machine is from them, but to get the wheels, I go to MCS. And I think it's just because I think the quality is a little bit better. Up until my glue, I got everything from them. Sanding belts, ferrule belts, the tools that went through there, glue, centering beads, rattle stop, ferrules of every shape and color and size, shafts, grips, all that stuff. We got them from them. And we've kind of deviated here in the recent past with the glue, and it was because we started shipping to more places and we wanted the glue. I had, pardon me, I won't say several failures, but we did have, we did quite a few, out of 100, maybe two or three, and we were just trying to get it to zero. And the 3M was helping us do that. All right, but it's an additional cost. So for if you're doing it for yourself, or you're just getting started, the glue that they have there, the 24-hour stuff, more than applicable. It works just fine. I used it for almost 20 years, and it was just fine. Everything else, the grips, the folks there are just top notch. Now, there are other vendors out there that might be closer to you, and you might want to check them out as well. All righty. Great start. I'm glad that you liked it. She was giving me that, Jim. All righty. Ooh-wee. Well, hopefully you're all right. Ron D'Ambrosio, what do you say? If you were to build a really nice fairway finding 7 wood, what are your faves? Oh my. Well, I'd have to think about that one. I mean, first and foremost, the 7 wood, the Callaway's got them, as far as I'm concerned, Callaway's got the market on 7 woods because they're really, really close to the Heavenwood, and the Heavenwood was just an outstanding product for Callaway. So for them, that would be where I would start. Now I don't carry every one, so a very close second for me. I don't know if you're a slower swing speed, honestly, and surprisingly enough, I might consider the Dynapower. Right, and those are the two. I mean, Mizuno makes a good one, but we're talking price for performance. That one, and then for one that I do not carry that may or may not work really, really well is the Ping. Okay, Ping makes a good golf club. They always have, uh, and I would look at that. But that'd be my 1, 2, and 3 pick. Dog Rex, what do you say, sir? And while he's got the thumbs up, I will please remind you to hit that like and subscribe down below, and that way you can this information gets out to the YouTube universe. If you got friends who've never done it like golf, please let them know and tell them that we're here, and maybe we can get some more subscribers out of that, so that more of this information just reaches more folks. That's the intention. All righty. Robin's talking to people. Look at her go. All righty. Hand peak waving. There we go. Ryan Crow's with us. Hello there, sir. Brody Rethamal. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Thanks for the info on lengthening my putter like what Ricky is using. Good deal. I'm glad you liked it. I'm thinking about making my spider longer. Will I need to have the line angle adjusted after lengthening it? Probably so. Particularly if you're going to go to a Ricky Fowler length, even if you had it at standard, you're talking about making this thing 3, possibly 4 inches longer. You're probably going to need to adjust it. And the best way to, and you never know, you might find out that the thing is very, very comfortable, so that you can stand up taller. That's the whole idea, right? Stand up taller so that you don't have another articulation in your swing by being bent over. Now, the idea of being bent over is so that your shoulders can rotate through. True, but if you're getting tired and you can stand up taller, then you're more consistent with your putts. That's the theory behind this whole thing. And it's not a bad theory, right? Do I think everybody needs to go 39-inch putter? No. Or 38-inch putter? No. But, some if you got back problems or trouble seeing the line, then yeah, maybe it is. There's Al Burnett from the Space Coast. How are you, sir? Krister's in the house. Krister, I've been watching you swing again. Looks like you're coming back into form here, buddy. Well, if you haven't played around in 1.5 weeks, have you been practicing apparently? Because I've been seeing some good stuff. Heavy rain. Yeah, we just experienced some of that today. That's the reason why you can see the backyard like you can. Robin talking out there. Robin there. There's Matt. Yep, it's been all over the place over here, Krister. It's coming through today. Hopefully it's gone tomorrow. Also getting his NQ reshafted with the Phantom. All right. That tipped 1 inch where the way that you're releasing, that might actually control a little bit of ball flight for you. Hot here in Hemet, California. 100 degrees. Yeah, you guys have got some issues happening, so stay cool, man. Stay cool, my friend. Manuel, just bought a GolfWorks 1x30 shaft and ferrule turning machine for my garage. Beautiful machine. All right. Works well. Now, I will say, Emmanuel opened it up for me, so let's talk about that. You guys have seen my shop. That's hot. You guys have seen my shop, and I'm a big 1x42 or 1x42 belt. And because of that, the thing rotates slower. Okay. It rotates slower, and that way you can lean into it and be a little more heavy-handed and not get penalized real bad. The 1x30 that Emmanuel bought is a great machine, but it rotates faster. It rotates twice as fast, as a matter of fact. So it's twice as fast and about 12 inches shorter, so this belt is moving. So you have to have a much more delicate touch. And I've seen Emmanuel. He's got a delicate touch, and he's going to be good with this one. It's not to say that's not for everybody. You can learn to use it. It's just the 1x42s are a little bit safer, but the 1x30s, I believe, also take up a smaller footprint too. So if space is an issue, 1x30 is the way to go. All right. John Lamb, what do you say? Hope you had a great weekend. Yep. So Acura MMT and Axiom, which shafts might be the best for a late releaser? 185 with a 5-iron with a Neo stiff shaft. Ooh wee. Well, let's see. Yeah. If you're trying to stay in that 85 gram range, John, you're going to have to bump it up to like the 95 gram. Because I believe that Acura's for a late releaser. Let's start with Acura, and I'll just run down the list. So Acura, you're at that cusp of whether or not you want a constant weight or a TZ. Personally, I like the TZ. I don't consider myself a late releaser, but it works. The funny part is I had Nick hit one, and if he was even on here, he could tell you. Nick hit the 115 TZ and killed it, right? Just that was the one that went really far, but it was a little bit wide and right. But he is a late releaser to be sure. The MMT in that same category is also for this one, and these Axioms, if you got the one that was above the 75, then I would say you're in good shape in just about any direction. Huh. That's a good question, man. I guess it also you want to know what we're going to be putting them in. If it was something with a deeper hosel or deeper insertion, I'd go with the Acura, the MMT, where the Axiom, I think, can stand on its own. If it was a little bit shallower than the Axiom. Feel-wise, I was not a big fan of the MMT. Other people were, and I've gone through several sets of those. But I just didn't and I've not hit an Axiom. So those of you guys at Fuji, you want me to hit an Axiom? I'm willing to test. But and I do know what the Acura feels like, and I like it. Right? This new TZ is a lot different than the shaft that they had before, and it just feels better in my opinion. Now I left, and you saw I did a video with the KBS PGIs. I did it with the 95 CWs. I did it with the TZ, and I did it with a fourth shaft. And this one, by far and away, delivered a constant acceleration for me to get through it. And so far, so good. I haven't really snapped one shut in a very, very long time since I've had these. So right now I would go with, if I had my druthers for performance and feel, right now it'd be the Acura TZ, the Axiom, although I can't tell you about feel, but I know about what it's supposed to do, and then the MMT third. Okay, swing it. Also tested the Crank F11. Oh my God. Did own that driver for half a season. Now we'll own it again. We'll test the Phoenix 4 and okay. Wow, going back, huh? Well, let's hear what you got to say. Teaching the teacher, looking forward to it. We kind of Matt and I came up with that one. So we're a Teach the Teacher series. That's going to be kind of fun. Matt, you might have to come early and stay late with that one. I'm sure Mommy and the kids will just love you for that one. John Lamb, been playing large size grips for a long time, usually cross line with a few wraps. Moving into jumbo ultra light. Biggest problem with large grips is usually in and out of the bag. You, sir, are not kidding. If we go here, pick this guy up. What'd you mean, like one of those? And there's my TZ95 that we were just talking about. I will say, in the old C130 bag, because that bag's probably 3 or 4 years old, down in the corners where the opening curves and goes to a close, the ones in the corners are these teeny weeny little spaces that you at one point you had to really work it. What I did is I got a screwdriver in there, and because it's metal, and I bent them open a little bit, and works fine now. Now that was 3 or 4 years ago. The new openings make those corner pieces much, much bigger, and it's not necessarily a problem. But yeah, you're exactly right, though. Krister with a club champion 2 weeks away. I'm going to go back to a blade putter after I had the Frontline Elite putter with no success. I will buy the Ping Anser 2D. Well, what happened to that? What happened to that one that you were dropping into that putter, the putt out, and you were just making putts like they were free? There was it. This wasn't this one. Where'd that putter go? I'd be going back to that one as much as your tempo was there, your face angle was there. I mean, everything was there. Hopefully it translates, but there it is. Oh no, I have Lamp King oversized my irons, really nice grips. Yeah, I like the cross lines. Those are a real popular model. It does, except Charlie, except for his driver. We're gonna probably see a crank in there. We're gonna see Krister, and he'll have this crank with Sean thing going on. Man, they'll be looking for him. Maybe Krister says maybe he'll get a Callaway U-Wood 19 to replace the Adams. Well, maybe. But if you had the Adams 19, the U-Wood's probably it because it's probably a little flatter. If you like the flatter club, the U-Wood is the way to go. Lots of guys out there talking about ferro creep. You guys are clearing out old epoxy from the tip, aren't you? Allowing the air to escape from the assertion. Oh, yeah. So what John's talking about is what can possibly happen if you guys on reinstalls, okay? On reinstalls, what happens is a lot of times OEMs and builders will basically just fill this thing up. And they'll fill that up and they will insert this into here and they will get it all the way into the bottom. And the only place for that remaining glue to go is up the shaft. And so when you go to pull it, that's the reason why it looks like there's, in certain cases, it'll let go and it'll look like there's this thing sticking in the hosel, and literally it's only glue. And sometimes that gets stuck in a shaft. And your best bet is just to take a small drill, run it in there, it'll loosen it up, and you can tap it, and out it comes. Tough having so many choices. Look at Krister go. I think we'll be seeing him. We'll be seeing him out there. Our course is 669 yards. Well, Krister, for you, that's a driver and a wedge, man. The rate you're hitting it. Throw that thing out into the middle, wedge it on, and a one putt. You're killing folks. All righty. Gabriel, what would be the recommendation flex for a club speed at 86 mile an hour on a 7 iron, 101 on the driver? Would a True Temper Dynamic Gold Super Light fit? I would say, Gabrielle, I would say barely. Right, the 105 stiff. So dynamic gold, by and large, means that it's going to be it's going to be not a high ball flight, not a super low ball flight, but lower than average in the 105. The super light is just a name. The 105 means that the butt section is probably going to be a little bit bigger than standard, which means it's going to be stiffer in the back end. And when it's stiffer in the back end, it's going to, if you're not a hard transitioner, it's going to be really hard to make the club come around, or it's going to feel very, very harsh. Okay. Now, what you can do to kind of offset that, if that's where you're going with it, if you got your choice in this thing, what I would do is, because you're right on that ragged edge, right? What you could do is, you could soft step it, and that would probably fix it. Soft step it. So if you took those and you soft stepped them one, yeah, probably. And then you think you'd be good to go. All righty. Charles Bartholomew from the Y Yellows is 628. That's a good number. Tyler Camplin wants to know who makes a 48-degree wedge. Well, Callaway does. Ooh, wait a minute. I'm pretty certain Callaway does. I'm pretty certain Cleveland does. I mean wedges now. And I would bet real money Volkey does. And the only one I'm not really certain of is Mizuno. And I'm not sure if they do, but I'm pretty certain that they do in certain models. But those are the ones, but the first three I know for sure. All righty. There you go. Charlie likes them shorter ones. I think we all do now. Last season, home club had yells at 65, 61. Woo-wee. What happened there? Different club? Jerry Smiley, what do you say, sir? Thank you for showing up. As a fitter, what do you look for in a shaft when doing a fitting? Oh, well, Jerry, there's a couple of things. Uh, you know, number one is during the fitting, the length of the shaft is number one for me, and that drives a consistency. While that's going on, I'm watching how they swing it, right? How they pull it back, how they transition down, how they release. And those three things I'm going through my head and trying to match up profiles. Okay. I try to match up the profiles. Now, when we do that, then we also have to take into account the weight, right? If he's a smooth swinger, I tend to go with a lower weight because if they come back as a smoother swinger, this happens and it gets too heavy and that pulls him out of shape. Where the reverse is true with a guy that's really quick, and if it's too light, it starts waving it everywhere, and then you got to bring it down. So you got to find that median weight that works, and then finally flex, right? Based on how they're throwing this club around is a flex. You might have a person, and it happens in here quite regularly, as a matter of fact, where a person may swing regular flex speed, but has such a hard transition or even a harder release that they certainly have to be in a stiff range in order for the club to stay with them. Otherwise, it gets wild, and so that's where you need to find that. So you kind of put all those together, and you go through your offerings that you have and try and find the best one. We'll call it a best guess right out of the box, and then that's when the golfer shows up as a helper in that they'll hit 4 or 5 shots, and you're going to watch and you're looking for the performance. Is it doing what it's supposed to? And then you get the input from the golfer on, well, how'd that feel? Did it feel good? Do you like the way that it went through the ball? Because there are some people that have that level of feel. For instance, Nick, the guy we fit here from New Jersey, was when he was talking about it, he was talking about how the club was coming off of the transition and whether it felt floppy here before it got through, and because he felt maybe that although it wasn't, it may have felt like it was kicking too soon. And so because of that, we had to adjust for that particular feel and still get for that. So that's how we start. And then after that, it's tweaking trial and error you're not going to move way up or way down. You're kind of hunting in that area for that. And then that's how we get it there. And then what I look for when we finally are getting it there, the flight scope, and this is not the cure all end all, but it also is telling me is that I look at the acceleration profile of the shaft, and I'm making it so that when they swing it, that they're accelerating all the way through the ball, not doing the early release where they gives you the fish hook, that kind of thing. I'm just looking for it to be accelerating through the ball. And I'm also looking for that all the swings are very tightly packed together instead of all over the map. That's also another dead giveaway. All righty. Krister. I have no need for the driver just that. See, that's what I'm telling you, Krister. Even at 6,600, even 6,700, your driver wedge everywhere, man. No, I do not. We've been talking about becoming a fitter for lab golf, and uh, I think we want to become a fitter for lab golf. But when we're talking about bringing in new stuff at year's end is a bit of a challenge, especially with getting it through Mrs. McGolf. But we're still looking at. I have to get a hand. I just got to buy some putters, and what I really don't like about that is is that these things are, you get them and you go. There's not a whole lot of, hey, can you bend this flat for me? Can you bend it this way? Because these guys come in that way, made that way for that particular setup. So it's I got a bit of a different mindset for me. All righty. You could probably use a broomstick and hit it further. See, that's what I was saying, buddy. Charles, Krister's like, oh, yeah. So happy days ahead. All righty. We're getting ready to make some golf clubs. Yeah, so that's what Charlie, I'd have to agree. On the other ones, there was a lot more meat at the bottom, and I'm just not real comfortable with that one. But they say we can. I don't know just yet. I'm more comfortable. Let's just remove a gram from here and call it even. But Peter's good either way, so maybe I can still go there.
I'm going to visit with the old guys because you're going to run long.
Oh, am I now?
I assume you are.
Okay, you go visit with the old guys. No. Now we got to make mention my dad's cousin, which makes him my cousin. JP is here. JP is an awesome relative that lives down in Florida, and we normally stop in there when we go to see Orlando. We go into Orlando, we stop and see them and visit. It's always a relaxing time frame as they live on a lake. It's very, very nice. They're extraordinarily good people. It's JP and his wife Joanne. Good stuff. So JP, thanks for stopping by and for stopping here, Bubby. All righty. There's Robin saying everybody hit the like button. Charlie's done it. Krister's done it. Check out the Rogue ST. The Rogue ST is a deal. It's a real deal. Ron says, thanks, boss. You are more than welcome, sir. There's Robin saying hello to all those folks. Richard Hall, forecasting 103 in Southwest Washington State. I'll be practicing inside. Washington State getting to 103. That's saying something. That truly is saying something. We used to live in Bremerton, and man, oh man, you get above 90 degrees, man, you thought that the world was on fire. All right, Jonathan Weaver says, my 1x32 is cramped when trying to turn a driver fairway. It's kind of hard to rotate freely. Yeah, see, there's always that possibility. Now, trying to think manual's probably better at telling you this kind of stuff because I don't even have one. But in some cases, when you rotate it around, you have to have the thing closer to the top in order not to hit all the stuff on the bottom. Right? You got to be closer to the top. And sometimes what they have is those little protectors at the top, and some of them are boxes, some of them are just cups, and and lids, or so to speak. You might have to take those off just so you can get to that. Yeah. Jim Reynolds from Marathon. How are you, sir? Glad to see you could make it. 280 yards forward carry, 302 yards difference with the crank 11 and the Avalon. Just love the sound. I like the design. The crank they've always been one to be outside the box as well, much like the Lab folks, with that and flat on the backs kind of stuff going on. Good stuff. There's Jonathan. There we go. Jim Anderson, who's from Scotland, is saying, agree with your thoughts in the MMT graphite adventure. Catching in the middle, but UST had a more feel of consistency. There you go. Good enough. Well, if you watch, Charlie Krister is on that. I catch him every once in a while hitting on Instagram. He goes inside every once in a while, and then you see him outside, and the numbers he's just thrown out there are crazy good. John Lamb probably putting in a Akron a set of T200s. Good for you. Played the 105 Tour and a set of the Fly Pros. Yeah. Should never sold them, no matter how much my friends begged. Well, John, I tell you, the if you like the 105s, I don't have to look. You'd be hard pressed with the 105s in the I series, but the TZ's got them. And if you liked it, that's where I would look. There it is. Yeah, the Yes Tiffany. The last putter that was the Ping Pal. I liked it too. Better ski control. Dude, go back and get the Tiffany. You were killing it with that, at least indoors. Did it not work that well out of doors? I mean, that thing was awesome for you. I think Krister now has the official title of club junkie when it comes to putters. We can live vicariously through him with all these different putters. Speed and control is an absolute must. There you go. Yeah, I tested the 2D answer model and liked it. All right. Ranji, how are you, sir? You enjoying the summer? Yes, we are. You? Ron's happy with that one. Ines, there he is. Thanks for all the help. The macro shafts were awesome. This is Nick right here. Nick's got game, man. Don't let him fool you. Yeah, he was here Saturday. It was fun because Nick had a consistent enough swing that I could tweak the driver, which I did on him a couple of times. I could tweak the driver. He'd say like he would point it this way, and I could make him hook it. That's how consistent he was with the change of the slider on the driver. So what we did is we took the triple diamond, which does not have the slider, but is a lower spinning club, and I put it on the draw setting. So I took a little bit of that face stuff out, and he was just slaughtering it down the middle and quite far too. So that was also another plus. But it was good. It was good. Nice to meet you guys. And I started looking, Chrissy mentioned the country music, and I forgot to mention Montgomery Gentry. And I just went looking on Amazon, and they don't have any vinyl. So I'm not buying any of that. All righty. 154, man. You sit up in the northern end. Dennis Hood. Hello, Jim and Robin. Do you like heavy or light jumbo grips, or does it depend on the type of club? I tested myself, Dennis, and I ended up preferring the lighter grip. Now, you got to keep in mind the bottom line here is, do you like the weight in your hands when you golf, or do you like it in the head when you golf? That's pretty much the biggest thing. If you like it in the head when you golf, then the lighter grips are where you want to be. If you're more of an aggressive guy, you probably like the heavier ones, and they'll sit in the back. Now, those are the tour versus the ultralights. There also, you have the straight eights, which are kind of in the middle, and they're low taper, which I kind of like low taper. But they're so big, how can you tell if they're low tapering or not? So, but they're very, very nice. And there's another model out there that I was interested in checking out, but I just haven't got to it. There's Nick. All right. Have you fitted someone swinging? Have you with 110 in a light shaft, say 50 grams or so? The answer to that would be no. I have fit folks with 110 mile an hour swing speeds. Normally, what happens, Krister, is at 45 is a deal breaker. 50, I had one guy that was really, really smooth and he liked it, but the 60 worked better. And even 60 at 110, you're on a ragged edge of not doing it. Because what happens, even because they're smoother, the swing is moving so fast that sometimes you tend to miss it. And that's where it's at. But does that mean it doesn't exist? Not even close. But 50 is probably as low as one would go. 60 is about at 110 or above. At 110 or above, that's when you can really start picking out. If they're smoother, 60 gram work just fine, getting an X flex and watch it go. And then you're talking about profiles again. If they get way up in there, then like the 120-ish stuff, then we start talking 70 grams. And all of a sudden they can find it because they're moving the club so quickly. Now, if you come down 10 mile an hour, but they're very, very aggressive, then you can go up in that weight and stay in that same flex. You're more than welcome. The truth is easy, brother. All right, Dave, what do you say, man? What's your thoughts on shaved driver faces to match lower swing speeds? I do not like it. That was a thing back in the day where they had a company that shaved faces to make them thinner, to get more rebound. Is it a thing? Yes, but your swing speed has got to be very slow. And I hate to use that kind of description. Let's just say your driver's swing speed has got to be around 70 mile an hour or less in order for that to work. Otherwise, you're not going to get any benefit from it whatsoever. Sonic Sega, my clubs getting stuck in the bag going in and out, or should I buy tubes, or is the fix this? Or is there a fix for this? Okay, so here's the deal. If you have individual dividers at the top, they need to go all the way down to the bottom so your clubs won't get stuck. I am not a fan of those tubes only because they create premature bag wear towards the ferrule end, because that plastic is harder and it will wear a ring around the shaft. And if it's graphite, it's over. The steel will take it a little bit better, but it's just a wear mark and it's just extra weight in the bag, particularly if you're carrying. The reality of this one, Sonic, is two things. One, if you're a carrier, maybe individual dividers is not where you want to be. From a lightweight perspective, get one with maybe 6 dividers in it. If you're going for that and you're not a walker, then you want them to where they go all the way down to the bottom. And I mean, the Sun Mountain I know does, and I haven't investigated the other ones. I would assume Ogio does the same thing. But the Ping Hoofer, I don't know if it does. I don't know if the Titleist bags do that or not, and that could be your problem where they're collapsing in on each other. So the recommendation is if they're getting stuck, then I would get something with making sure they go all the way to the bottom. If they go all the way to the bottom, then I'm not real sure what I would do. I'm just not a big tube fan because they just get in the way and they wear out clubs. Jim Reynolds, no, I have not, but somebody else was on here and said that they're looking for people to test. That would be interesting. If they made a left-handed driver, I would be certainly really interested in doing that. If they had a right-handed driver, maybe I'd get some friends in here to check. Last year's, I had Callaway Apex Pros, so I wanted something easy to hit and bought Hot Metal Pros and keep hitting my irons thin. Is it me or do I have to be patient to get used to them? Okay, let's make a couple assumptions here. Couple assumptions. Number one, that the same shafts that were in your Apex Pros are also in your Hot Metals. Okay. If that is true, then and everything else was the same length, same lie angle, that kind of thing. I would, depending on how many rounds you have in them, but I always, the recommendation is always try a little something here, because you might find that because the Apex is not the Hot Metals and vice versa. The reason why, and this is the only one thing that comes to mind directly, is the sole. The sole on the HM Pro is going to be wider and a different style of way it gets through the turf than the Apex Pro. Okay, the Apex Pro is going to be a much more thinner club, and if you're getting closer to the ball, here, this will help. So this is fairly wide for a 7, right? And it's fairly wide for a ZX. Well, this is ZX5, that's why. Okay, so what's happening is this is about the same width as the Pro model, or as your HM Pro. So it's kind of wide, right? Doesn't mean it's bad. That's just the design. Where the Apex was probably only as much as the beginning of. So if you had to remove this much of it, that's probably the Pro versus that's the HM Pro. And what might be happening, and this is just a guess because I'm not seeing you swing, is that the trailing edge is kicking in and it's causing you to bounce up and hitting thin shots. So if you were kind of a semi divot taker and all of a sudden you're not anymore, that could be the reason why. Krister's got a YouTube channel. There you go. Like to see that. It didn't work as good outside, huh? Well, here's what you could do. If you ever get in a simulator league, you keep that thing and you take everybody's money because that thing was just absolutely outstanding, at least on the camera. There you go. Get somebody to take some of that. Yep. There you go. Krister's all over it today. That's, the funny part is our upstairs, I ran wiring and did the drywalling and stuff. And Travis Tritt is the music that I listen to when we build. And he is a good singer, to be sure. Nick, there we go. The Acro 115 you put in my 7s, you had me out to 200 with a 6-iron. There we go. So all you guys wondering about this is a shaft that works, and Nick is a hard lagger, and he was getting through it, and it was doing him just fine. So there's another plus for that. Crank Golf makes thinner faces for slower swing speeds, but it's not conforming. That is true. There they are, but they work. Yeah, if you got a slower swing speed, they're there. I'm just not a fan of doing that to the faces. Is it going to work? Probably, but I'd have to really get a shot at it. All righty. Well, look at that. Krister got me to the very end, and we only went about 15 minutes over. That's not too bad. Well done. So, guys and gals, thank you so very much for sticking around. Don't forget, like and subscribe. And my video is going to be later on in the week because, here, I'll give you. So even if we sign off and you see this, put them in the show notes because I will see them in the YouTube descriptions. Put it down there. We have several builds that are coming up through the week. Some are taking irons apart. Some are putting new pieces together. And this is your shot. What is it you want to see? Do you want to see something about what we do to pre-do it? What do we do at assembly? How do we glue? Do we use ferrules, loft and lie adjustments? All those different things. Pick a topic. You guys are the ones that can drive the topic on the channel. Give me a topic and we'll throw it in there. Just like Peter wants me to talk about the shaft and what it does. And I will be going into much more greater detail and talking about what we're doing for the build. Okie dokie. So put something in there and let me see what's going on. And let's get that going. Oh, here we go. Like, subscribe, smash the video. There you go. I should have had that going all day long. And as always, guys, thank you for watching again from around the world. That's been awesome. Sweden, Scotland, holy smokes, all over the U.S. Very well done. And as always, guys, let's see your scores go low.